What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show. And Syria is such a strategic place, too, because it's one of the countries that actually borders on the Mediterranean, so it has ports. It shares a border with Jordan. I believe it has a border. Yeah, it has a border with Israel,
Golan
too.
Heights, yep.
Right? So this is like almost the cross, and then obviously Turkey's up north. This is like the crossroads of the Middle East in a way.
Yeah, and in fact, people heard the term Armageddon, which is like the mythical last battle of in time. That's based on a city that's actually in Syria. So there's a sense that,
Really?
yeah, in fact, ISIS made a big deal when they took over this little town. This is prophetic. This is end of time stuff. And they've always, but you're right, because it's so centrally located just south of Turkey, which is the other big border. So it's kind of the crossroads of Europe and the Middle East. And so much commerce, so much history, happens through Syria, or at least it did when it was a functioning country. And now that it's a narco state, it's just a great place to send drugs, to use it to distribute drugs into Europe and into the Mediterranean too.
We're going to get there for sure. That blew my mind I don't know anything about that. So we're going to definitely talk about that. But how long have they also been an ally with Russia? I know that's been talked about over the last decade because like Assad is close with him, with Putin, but was his father also already aligned with them? And what's the history there?
Yeah, so it's a bit prickly, but the Syrians have always been kind of clients of the Russian state. And as a result of that, they obviously the Syrians buy weapons from the Russians, and that makes the Russians happy. But they also have the Russians have a navy base in the town of Tartus, which is on the coast. You see Latakia, which is the northern coastal town. Tartus is a major port, and it's the only warm water port for the Russians in the world. Whoa. And so it was important for them.
Wait, they're only one?
Only one. And so they, if not counting, a warm water part, so we're not talking about Black Sea or anything else, but there's been nothing else that, it was really an important area for them and the only place where they had that kind of naval foothold. It was important also because it was a listening outpost. So they had all their surveillance apparatus based there. And so when Syria's civil war broke out, it looked like the government might fall. They were determined that wasn't going to happen because that was bad news for the Russians. So the Russians, really the reason that Assad stayed in power is the Russians and the Iranians together decided that no matter what, the rebels threw up against the government, we're going to put up that much more and make sure that Assad survives.
Now, why did the Iranians like Assad? That's another thing we're going to talk about today, a lot of Iran. But why did the Iranians like him so much?
Yeah. So the Iranians don't have many friends in the world, believe it or not. But Syria is one of them. So Syria has been a very close ally for a long time. And strategically, it's an important ally because if you again look at the map, you can see you can go from Iran through Iraq. If you want to get to Lebanon, to the coast, Syria is kind of in the way or on the way. So they've essentially tried to create a land bridge that goes all the way from Tehran, but through Iraq, which they now essentially control. It's another kind of sad artifact of what we're seeing going on right now. But they control the parliament. They are the kind of the dominant power in the region. And now they control Syria, so there's nothing really that interferes with their ability to move weapons and whatever they want to the Mediterranean, to the ports of Lebanon. And that's how they're able to arm the Hezbollah, which is a big militia that's based in Lebanon. They can directly support them not just by air but by land now.
I got to give a huge shout out to my man, Julian, for adding a great part to my daily routine every day. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, first of all, Bedros is a guy who has a huge YouTube channel. He's got an amazing story, came from a communist country, came to America, built a big business, was very successful, lived the American dream, and now inspires many other people to do the same. But one of his latest ventures is called Truline. And Bedros turned me on to his product right here called Everyday Wellness. And let me tell you something, this thing is a hack. Essentially, it is a packet just like this. You stick it in a little glass of water, you put it in the water, you mix it up. It tastes like orange soda, and it's got all the necessary ingredients to not only help your immune system, not only help your digestion, but make you feel better and actually give you a boost to your day. I mean, I like taking it about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's like a nice pick-me-up. But that's because this thing has vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, turmeric, all these amazing ingredients that you're probably trying to get in supplements all in one shot. I love it. You're going to love it too. And if you don't believe me, Go check it out because these guys have a 30-day money-back guarantee. All you got to do is go to truelean.com and use the code Julian50 at checkout. That's all caps, Julian 50 at checkout for 50% off your first order within a subscription and 20% thereafter. You are not going to regret checking out this product. I'm really excited about this one because this is something I now use every day, and I'd love to make these guys a part of the show moving forward because you guys are getting a lot out of it as well. So go to truelean.com and use the code Julian50 at checkout for 50% off your first order on your TrueLean subscription right now. Right. I'm trying to look, though. They don't share...
No.
Yeah, there's no shared border.
No shared border with Iran, so they do have to go across Iraq, and that
that's
would have been a
nice.
problem, during the U.S. occupation. But now it's, it's
Wide
completely wide open for them because
Wow.
because if you kind of look at where their militias are based now, the oldest militia is southern Lebanon, so it's Hezbollah, the Shiite militia
Yes.
that's based there. Now Syria, except for government-controlled areas, there are all these Syrian militias that are pro-Iran that are all across the south. And then you've got the Iraqis who've become essentially a client state of the Iranians to a large degree. So it's essentially Iran
Wait, the
is now controlled.
Iraqis are clients?
Yeah, because they've been able little by little to take over ministries of government, like Ministry of Transportation. These are wholly owned by Iran now. And we find the few U.S. troops that are still in Iraq are constantly harassed by these pro-Iran militias that occasionally lob rockets into the bases where our folks are, or drones. It's a constant harassment thing, and the Iraqis can't do anything about it. They're on the militias have become so powerful that they're almost as big in terms of numbers and armament as the armed forces of Iraq. So it's a complete game changer for the Iraqis right now.
Am I remembering correctly here? Like Iran is Shiite, right? And Iraq under Saddam was Sunni.
Yep.
The Ba'ath Party, and then when they got rid of Saddam, like all the way to today now, is it more Shiite running Iraq?
Yeah, because the interesting thing about Iraq, even though the government historically was Sunni, it's majority Shiite. So there are actually many more Shiites in Iran, and they felt during the Saddam Hussein era, they felt persecuted and felt like a persecuted minority. But even though they have majority of the population, now they've come back in a big way. They control the government, and so the tables are completely turned, and it's the Shiites, which Iran is, that control the country now, and they're the leaders of many of the Shiite parties are pro-Iranian very directly.
Okay, so are there like meetings, by the way, like these days, like with Assad and
Oh yeah,
the Ayatollah and stuff?
Yeah, and we see that
Like
all
a
the time.
G7 summit?
Yeah, exactly. And they always look exactly the same. It's the Syrians who wear Western dress; they wear suits and ties, and you'll see Assad hanging out with the Ayatollah or with the leaders of the Revolutionary Guard Corps, and it's a very cozy relationship, and it's, if anything, it's just gotten stronger because Syria would not exist right now as at least the regime would not exist if not for the Iranians backing them up.
But is Assad, how secular-y is Assad these days? Because like I would think Ayatollah would look at him and say heathen or whatever, but I guess what's fair is love and war.
Right, and the Assad family is they're not really Shia or Sunni. There's this really strange little sect that's called the Alawites, and they're kind of Shia, but most Shiites would consider them to be heretics or not good Shiites in any case. So there's always been this sort of awkward, relationship in terms of their religion, but because it is sort of a Shiite faith, they've managed to click, and in any case, Assad looks to the Iranians as their salvation. So they've been able to put whatever religious differences behind them. And you're right, Assad's not really a religious guy. He's not. There's nothing
Doesn't strike
about
me
him.
as
No,
that.
he's not in his behavior, and also not in his his practice. There's no evidence of him being very, very pious at all.
Now, I had asked you about the history of the Russia relationship with them, and I just realized that was a dumb question because they were the guys. Russia are the ones who got Eli Cohen.
Yep.
Who caught Eli Cohen was the famous Israeli undercover spy in Syria. I guess they caught him in 1965.
Yeah.
And they used their Russian, there was some sort of tracking technology that the Syrians brought in the Russians, and they helped them. So I guess that's been around
Yeah,
since
that's
early Cold War.
nice Netflix. I think it was Netflix. Nice
Yes.
little series. Really
Excellent
nicely done.
show,
Yeah.
The Spy,
Yeah.
with Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
And the reward for that for the Russians is there aren't too many Mediterranean ports where they can go and hang out. And,
Yeah.
and in the 60s and 70s, Russian generals would retire and build villas down there. So you've got a pretty big Russian expat community even from that time.
Like now.
Yeah, you can still run into them. And
Like, can you vacation?
go hang out with Boris. Yeah.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.